For years, Keith Richards has taken shots at Led Zeppelin. He's questioned the groove, the feel, even the musical direction. Let's listen in to some of his choice comments right here.
It never took off for me musically. At the same time, Jimmy Page is one of the best guitar players I've ever known, and Bonham was a hell of a powerhouse drummer. Although I think it's kind of heavy-handed myself, and that's where the lead comes in. But at the same time, Plant was exuberant. Robert's exuberant enough to be an LV, although I think he's very much in that English mode of LV, like Roger Daltrey, with the fringes and the blah blah, and the microphone, and Rod Stewart's, and even Mick Jagger's comes back. They all seem to sort of copy each other in a bit.
Given what Keith Richards has said in the past, you might expect Jimmy Page to fire back, but instead he said this, quote, "He's Keith Richards. He can say whatever he wants." And that response tells you something important, not just about Page, but about how great musicians actually see each other. On the surface, this looks like a classic rock disagreement. Two legends, two very different styles. But underneath that, there's something deeper going on, something about respect, perspective, and what great musicians really value.
So you just did that one track?
Yeah.
The night before, I mean, were you doing all sorts of new stuff?
No. Well, we were just jamming and doing it. Just the usual type of things that are jams, one chord things, 2, 3 chord things. I remember one point when Keith started doing the Chuck Berry things, and he's like a locomotive on there, so there's no one I know who can do it like that.
To understand this moment, you have to understand the difference between them. On one side, Keith Richards, rooted in the blues, focused on feel, obsessed with groove and space, all attributes that Jimmy Page also shares. But Page, in addition to those elements, brings expansiveness and experimental nature and pushing rock into new territory. When Richards critiques Zeppelin, he's not just criticizing the band, he's defending a philosophy of music. In most cases, this kind of criticism leads to tension. Artists defend their work, bands take sides, arguments escalate. And it would have been easy for Page to respond that way, but he didn't. Instead, he said, he's Keith Richards, he can say whatever he wants. That's not dismissal, it's recognition, because Page understands something fundamental. Great musicians don't all hear music the same way. Music isn't about one correct approach. It's about perspective, intention, and identity. Keith Richards hears music through groove, feel, and tradition. Jimmy Page approaches it through those elements and adds exploration, texture, and expansion. Neither is wrong, they're just different. You see this across music history. Players who disagree stylistically approach music differently, but still recognize each other's greatness. Because at that level, they're not judging from the outside, they're listening from the inside. For fans, it's easy to turn differences into arguments. Who's better? Who's right? But for musicians, it's not about winning, it's about expression. And Page's response is a reminder you can disagree with someone's approach and still respect what they do. So what does Jimmy Page's response really say? It says that at the highest level of music, respect matters more than agreement, because great musicians understand something most people miss. There isn't one way to make great music, there are many. So now I'm curious, do you lean more toward the groove first approach or the expansive style? Let me know in the comments below.
Jimmy Page almost never talks about modern rock bands. He doesn't endorse them, he doesn't anoint them as the future. And he definitely doesn't show up to hype them. So when Jimmy Page quietly took notice of Bandmate in Tokyo in 2016,
Music Guru here, asking you to help us on our march to 10,000 subscribers.